What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another travel review, and today I will be reviewing Rome. And what a treat I have for you today. It is one of the best cities, probably the best city I have ever visited in my life. So without further ado, let's get on with it. So I'm going to start with, where actually is Rome? So Rome is in Italy. It is the capital city of Italy with so much history, and it is located about halfway down on the west coast of Italy. And yes, when we went it was 38 degrees, so it does get very, very hot in the city. Very busy, very hot, and amazing place. When did we go? We went in August 2025, and the reasoning for going was all of the history. The history, even just seeing it online, blew me away. From the Colosseum to the Pantheon to the Trevi fountain, there is so much to see. It will blow your mind, and that's not even including the Vatican, which is another country in itself, in the city. Like, what? Like, it is absolutely mind-blowing, and you will not be disappointed with Rome. So arrival at Rome, so we got off the plane. Obviously we did go by plane, and went straight to our apartment, or straight to our hotel. It wasn't the nicest place to stay, but it was in a very nice area, very good area, near Castel Sant'angelo, which was amazing because we were so close to everything. We were literally like a 5-10 minute walk from the Vatican. We were like a 2-minute walk from Castel Sant'angelo. We were like about a half an hour to 35-minute walk from Colosseum, which isn't far at all. The Trevi fountain was only about 15-20 minutes away, so the location was unbelievable. So 100%, one of the things we did 1,000,000% right was the location, because everything was walking distance, everything was good, and everything was set up in the right way. And you know, that is so important, because you want stuff that, you know, is walking distance. Even for me, I'm a massive walker. I love walking. If you love walking, then you'll have no problem in the city, because you can walk everywhere. Everywhere is in walking distance. As I said, the weather was insane. 38 degrees. I remember, I don't have a video of it, or a photo of it, but I remember putting my foot down on the ground and I saw my footprint. But the tarmac was melting that thoroughly. all I did was put my foot on the ground, took it off, and I saw my footprint on the tarmac. It was that hot. So if you struggle with the heat, do not go in August, because it blows your mind. Maybe pick May or June, or even September, October, to calm the heat a little bit, because we were stopping for water breaks all the time, so crazy. So if you're planning Rome, unless you're hardcore, don't go in August. So one of the biggest reasons that people always go is for the Colosseum, and seeing it in real life really did blow me away. You don't realise how big it is, you don't realise how well constructed it is until you actually see it for yourself. I was walking around and I was that big. I was that big compared to it. It towers over you to a level that I can't even explain until you're there in person. And it had that ancient feel. It had marks on the side, which I didn't know what they were at first. They did look like bullet marks, but apparently they were something to do with the construction, that I later gathered that they were something to do with the construction of the Colosseum. So yeah, there's so many ancient feelings about it, about the place, and 100% worth going. And when we got inside, finally got inside, because the queue was that big, the interior was just as amazing. You could literally picture the gladiators fighting. You could picture, and you could just imagine everything that went on in there. And believe it or not, they nearly actually turned the Colosseum into a church, which is pretty crazy in itself. But yeah, the history in that place is just mind-blowing. Every single corner you turn, every single thing you do in that place, you really feel the Roman atmosphere to it all. And just outside the Colosseum, you had the Roman Forum, which is just about where all of the ancient ruins are from ancient Rome. And it blows you away, because you're basically walking through what was once there, but what has been destroyed. and it's still standing, but not in the same way that it used to stand, obviously. And to me, that blew my mind. Like, I love walking through history. I love walking through things like that, and that for me was one of the best things about Rome. Seeing and being able to actually genuinely imagine and feel the history to the place. It blew my mind again. Like, I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. And this is me leaning on a handrail, which I didn't realise was hot at the time, but I soon found out. So next up, the Pantheon. Somewhere that is so underrated by everyone. People go to Rome and they don't always think about this place, but I think you have to put this on your list if you go to Rome, and when you go to Rome, because I hope you do go to Rome after this review. It is mind-blowing. I initially thought that the holes on the top of the Pantheon were actually bullet marks, because that is what ChatGPT told me. But it just proves that ChatGPT is not always right, because this is not true. So the holes on top of the Pantheon, are actually holes that used to hold the iron clamps that used to basically support the building. And I didn't realize this when I went. And yeah, and they were removed centuries ago. The true architecture of the Pantheon blew me away yet again. Like, you don't get this in any other city. Like, you walk around any other city and the architecture does not compare. From the Colosseum to the Pantheon, moving on to the Trevi fountain. The Trevi fountain is, again, such a mind-blowing place. It is so busy. So I actually turned up there at about 5-6 p.m. on, I can't even remember what day it was. It must have been like a Thursday afternoon, Friday afternoon, and it was packed. I genuinely couldn't move. Like, I genuinely couldn't move. It was that busy. Like, trying to get a photo of the Trevi fountain was impossible. So I turned up the next morning, because I was like, right, I'm determined to get nobody there, this, that, and the other. So I thought, what's early enough? I'm going to turn up at 6:30. So I turned up at 6. I turned up at 6:30, whatever time that was. And there are people there. There are people outside of the cafes having their coffee, having their morning coffee, having their morning snack or whatever. And there are people there. I was like, okay, fair enough. But maybe in hindsight, I should have turned up at like 5 a.m. I just didn't want to get up that early just to go see the Trevi fountain. But maybe that would have been worth it. It was still quieter. It was definitely still quieter, but it just wasn't quiet. So it is crazy how popular the Trevi fountain is. That is why I'm telling you that. And my, oh my, have I saved a bomb for last. The Vatican isn't actually essentially Rome, because it is its own country. The Vatican is, I believe, the smallest country in the world. The Vatican has so much religious history, so much important history, and just seeing it in person was amazing. So we started off just at St. Peter's Basilica, which you don't have to pay to see St. Peter's Basilica. You do have to pay to go in, but you don't have to pay to see it. And we stood outside and looked up the top, and you saw all of Jesus's apostles, from John the Baptist to Peter to basically everyone. So that was amazing. Obviously statues, they didn't come back to life. They weren't Jesus. They did not come back to life, but they were statues on top of the St. Peter's Basilica, which was amazing. It was amazing to see. And then all the way around the outside, you had people who were important to the Catholic faith. Now, obviously, I'm not Catholic. I am Protestant, but I appreciate everything that was in the Vatican. It really did blow me away. And to be honest with you, even just looking at it moved me a little bit, because I saw how big the Christian faith truly is and how many people truly wanted to go and visit this place purely because of the religious significance. And that was amazing. That was amazing to see everyone there. It was amazing to see so many people there. And of course we did go inside as well. We did pay a small fee to go inside, not of St. Peter's Basilica, but of the Vatican Museum and Gardens, and that was good. I did enjoy that as well. It's basically, on the inside you have so many so many artistic designs, so many statues, so many. Again, it just goes back to the history of Rome, the history of the Christian faith. Both of them intertwined into two, and it had Egyptian history in it as well. But things to know about the place, I'm trying to think of negatives, and I'm really struggling. I'm not gonna lie. This is the first video that I've done where I've tried to think of negatives, and I'm really struggling. The only negatives I can think of off the top of my head was what I mentioned earlier, the heat. Do not go in August. But if you went in June, you'd save this problem. So that's a problem solved straight away. You went in June, end of June, I think that's probably the perfect time to visit. And I guess maybe just maybe it's too crowded. Sometimes you can find it's a bit crowded, specifically, like I said, at the Trevi fountain. The Colosseum was packed, but I feel like the Trevi fountain and the Colosseum will always be packed year round. So maybe this is a negative about the place if you're bothered by that kind of stuff. I personally aren't. I would go there again, and it being crowded would not be an issue for me. So that wraps up my travel review. So thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe and the like button down below. And next week I'm going to be reviewing Slovenia. So make sure you stick around and, like I say, subscribe and like to follow my next travel reviews.